Sometimes I lay up at night and I think about how to get Christopher back just to see him again. These family courts are like so corrupt. I mean, I've seen it. I've had up to 10 or 12 other people see it. We've all documented it. We've all reported it. We see opposing counsel lying. We call it out in front of the judge and say they're lying. The judge still doesn't follow her rules, the judicial canons. I mean, they're straight up lying. They're making statements that they know are false. It's one thing to zealously fight for your client, but then there's times that lawyers go over and beyond. These judges know what they're doing. There's parents literally on the front lines fighting to see their kids don't have money to keep playing the litigation game. So they lay up at night and talk to their iPhone. It's a new common trend. All these parents are losing big money in court. Some of them don't have money to fight in court, so they learn the law and then they challenge the law. And these attorneys and judges just keep railroading them. All we wanted to do is be parents, and yet someone can make false allegations and totally get away with murder, literally. You can have the other parent arrested with a protective order. And then what's crazy about it is the ones who file the protective orders, they usually come back to your social media and start screenshotting. They want to know what you're doing, who you're with. The ones asking for protection are coming back looking at your Facebook account, wondering what you're doing, driving by your house, calling you or sending you messages or emails, trying to get you in trouble. And these parents are out here reading the canons. So this is what I think. When you walk into that courtroom, you got to know who everybody is. You got to know who the judge is, where she went to school, if she was part of any sororities, right? What are her affiliations? Who does she hang with? Right? She obviously is going to hang out with her court reporter. Find out where you report a court reporter if she messes up. Then you look at the clerk or the court coordinator, right? Just know that they are under the discretion of the judge because the judge has to take responsibility for their jobs. So if they mess up, it's under the judge's uh, supervision. The bailiff, the bailiff, he's a county employee. He does not work for the judge. He works for the county. He's there to, make sure the laws are enforced, the Constitution's enforced, and he also is in charge of safety of that court under direction of the judge. But he doesn't still work for the judge. He works for the county, but he's there for courtroom security. Yes, the judge can use them to do stuff, but when the judge is making the bailiff go get you and grab you and bring them before the court and throw you out of the court, when the judge is doing all of that, like, that's overreach. When you're getting arrested because you're wanting to go in and you want to ensure that your judicial hearings is true, because these lawyers will gaslight you. They'll say that something was said that wasn't said. and they will gaslight you as a pro se litigant. They didn't say that. No, no, he said this. Judge said that. And in my case, Carolyn Robertson, she was adding words. Well, Judge Lopez said this, and you're looking at her like, she did not say that, And I told the judge, I told Judge Dunson that, that she's adding words. And again, goes back to you can zealously fight for your client, but now if you're adding words, you're weaponizing your skill set as an attorney to eliminate the other parent. So then you know who the judge is, you know who the court reporter is, you know who the court coordinator, the bailiff we went over. Now you got to know opposing counsel. You need to know opposing counsel's where she went to school. She part of the judges fraternity. What year did they all graduate law school? And see if the ties they're tied in, right? Smaller counties, smaller cities are it's even tighter because those attorneys see those judges every day. But if you're in Harris County, you might bounce around all different types of courts in Fort Bend and Montgomery County. But you need to know the attorneys, where she went to school and what affiliations does she have with the judge. And in some instances, you have a group of attorneys that are protective order attorneys. That's what I call them. And they may say they're family law attorneys or whatever, but they're protective order attorneys, just like you have, um, personal injury attorneys and civil rights attorneys and immigration attorneys. You have protective order attorneys, and these attorneys, to me, they're like vipers, snakes. They're in there to kill. They're not. They're protective orders to eliminate. These women hate men, right? And they're not even trying to, you know, hide it. They have, and this is Harris County. They have a sign. The future is female, and that's a judge. All these judges are coming from single parent households, and they love women, but men just shut up and pay child support and don't buck the system. And I don't know, man. Like, I go into court, and to me, if you're going to take Christopher from me, you better dot your I's and cross your T's. Everybody, everything you're saying, I'm doing a lot of dirty shit. Your shit better be high and tight. You're talking about taking away my kid. You're talking about taking away my kid. You better make goddamn sure that everything is dotted and every T is crossed and the spelling's correct. I don't play with my kids. And apparently being a fierce father is society's not ready for that. Society's still stuck on equality, right? But there's no equality for men. You talk about race, but we never talk about gender. That's still a form of, discrimination. I mean, we pulled the numbers from the Attorney General for all 254 counties, and Harris County, 94% of non custodial parents in Harris County are all men. 94%. Then you have these Viper attorneys, the protective order attorneys, right? That are going in there and they get funding for those protective orders. They get funding for the uh, supervised visitation places. They get funding for all of that. So if we don't like you, George Saldana, just go to supervised visitation and take the BIP class and take all of this stuff. Every night, I want to rant like this because I dig. I have a team that digs, and we're all just a bunch of parents that you know talk to each other and try to find ways back into their children's lives because the system has torn their whole life upside down. They even fight. We even fight with our own family. Our own family goes against us. You know why? Because our family believes that we deserve better. And a lot of us are stuck in this mindset that we're going to make it back to our children. There's a lot of parents like me. And we're all coming together, assembling, working together, groups from all over the country. This movement's getting bigger because the divorce rate is so high. And yet you have parents that are wanting to be a part of their children's lives. You have interference with child custody. You have all these remedies to see your children, and nobody enforces it. Why? Because they want you to end up back in family court. They want you to end up in family court. And then once you file an enforcement, what comes next is a modification. And then you're going to have restraining orders. You're going to have protective orders. Then you're going to have mediation. And and why? All you want to do is see your child. And everyone makes it a big goddamn fight. Law enforcement doesn't want to help you. The DA doesn't want to help you. But the state of Texas believes in parents being in their children's lives. The state's done research. I did that. I got the information on that. 80%, right? 80% of these individuals that are incarcerated came from single parent households, fatherless households. Fatherless. That's from the state. The Texas Attorney General ran that statistic. That the state of Texas knows that. I went to a juvenile court one time for an open town hall meeting, and they were asking for volunteers to come mentor these children in these juvenile courts. And, you have all these parents showing up first, third, and fifth, calling police over and over and over for months, making reports just because they want to take little Johnny fishing on that weekend. And law enforcement doesn't want to be bothered with it. To me, handle the situation right, make sure that the judge's orders are followed, right? Mitigate the situation, fix it. Fix it. What can we do to mitigate this situation? Right? That would be better for our children. But you have the juvenile system that's stacked up with all of these kids that are coming from fatherless households, angry at the world, pissed off. Right? And they're asking for mentors in the public to come and mentor these kids. And you have their fathers wanting to be in their lives, and some fathers stop giving a shit because it's hard. Look at what I've done. I've gone through every goddamn rabbit hole. I don't know what else to do. What happens if somebody violates you? You call the cops, right? George called the cops. Hey, can I get a police report? Nope. Well, I got to report it to the judge. Nope. Go hire an attorney, George. But she violated me and the law. Nope. Shut up, George. And I'm sitting there. Okay, well, let me go talk to the DA. Hey, DA, y'all don't want to take these felony charges? Nope. Shut up. But I thought when I got violated, I called the law enforcement. No, we don't want to do it, right? So then George went to Austin, the legislature, and I asked, hey, we have this law. Why isn't it being enforced? And the legislature, right, my state rep, says we're going to have a meeting with all these people from Austin and we're going to all talk about it in the Texas District and County Attorneys Association. So we have this big old meeting in Austin to ask why the DAs don't enforce the state jail felony. So after that, we got a letter from the DA's association, and it's posted all over that they should take these interference with child custody charges a little bit more seriously. And it started slowly getting enforced. Still, George can't get a police report. DA doesn't really want to enforce this law for George Saldana. So go back to civil court, George. So that's all I got. I can't work the civil side. I can't work the criminal side. All I'm trying to do is get back to Christopher to see him. Nobody wants to hold her accountable. Nobody even wants to let me document it. And that comes later in the whole story because later during my trial, you'll hear that they, they wouldn't even let me bring some of these police reports in. They wouldn't. They quashed my subpoenas for the officers to come and talk. So if I can't report it and I can't bring the officers in, how the hell is now it's just my word against theirs? And I'm sitting here like I've done everything that I'm supposed to do. The judge says show up first, third, and fifth. I'm there. She's not there, right? I call law enforcement because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what they tell me to do. And then law enforcement doesn't want to give me the report I need to successfully keep this from not happening again. So then you go back to the civil side, right? You at this time, I've had like 25, 30 resets where I've had to drive from San Antonio to Houston. And it sucks when you have to wake up early, and we would always drive the morning of, so we would wake up at you know 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then drive 4 hours and get there 7 or 8 o'clock, and then get to court just for them to say reset, go back home. That happened 25 times. It's all on my court stuff. And then I had an attorney most of the time. So my attorney would get billed for having to go to court, and it was a reset or a continuance, and it happened 25 times. Then who has to pay that bill? These judges want to clear their dockets before lunch so then they don't have to come back. And so that docket just keeps getting longer and longer, and now they're backlogged, and they're saying, well, we're backlogged. We have so many cases. Well, it's because, y'all keep resetting. These parents are all seeing it. And what? We're being retaliated against because of what? We're being retaliated against because we're reporting it, because we're tired of this shit. we're getting arrested, we're getting threatened with arrest, protective orders, constant litigation. And I get that we have good judges and we have good attorneys. I get it. But it's just like, defund the police, right? You have good cops and bad cops. The good cops that don't turn into bad cops, you know, is there an issue there? Is it an issue for lawyers? Is it an issue for judges? And us as the taxpayer is the one who's got to live with these choices of these of the judges that make these decisions. Like, I'm concerned with that. And I feel like if I need to report on it, because what I see are business transactions. I see litigation. I see these are um, this is how business is conducted. They're conducting business. We know that family law is a business, right? And to me, my son is not a transaction. Christopher's not a transaction going for the highest bidder. And if that's what we've gone to in society in the legal field, you've perverted your own profession. And then you wonder why y'all are stressed and and drink so much and all pissed off at the world, especially family court attorneys. Y'all perverted your own profession, and now y'all have cookie cutter templates to do everything. And it's a business model. Now you're making money off of somebody else's kids. I didn't go to law school. I had to learn all of this. There's nobody from a family court, that has ever said that the family courts have treated them great. None. They all come back with, my attorney withdrawal. I've been trying to talk to my attorney, and my attorney hasn't called me back, and I don't have any money, and they withdrew right before trial, and you never hear of, hey man, I went to family court, they reunited me and my kids, and everything went great. Thanks, family court. You don't ever hear that shit. It's just the horror stories. And then you start putting two and two together. Oh, well, that happened over in Tarrant County. It happened in Harris County. It's happening in Bexar County. And you identify the patterns. You identify the patterns of abuse, and you expose them. Don't let them do this. This is what they're going to try to do. Like in my case, I had ex parte communication. They had people watching it. They removed me out of a courtroom because I was trying to litigate my case. Judge Peak had me held in contempt because I was trying to litigate my case. How are you going to tell me you could hold me in contempt for trying to litigate my case? So anyway, they escort me out, the police, because she held me in contempt, right? Like, that's not an issue. And then you say, well, you got to report her to the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, SCJC. So I did. 2.5 years later, where is my god dang SCJC complaint, right? My grievance. Where is it? Nah, not for George Saldana. I filed criminal complaints on her. Why did she send the bailiffs to escort me out when I was litigating my cases? Well, and not just that, I was denied hearings. I was 25 resets. Like, I would call her court coordinator, try to set a hearing. I couldn't get a hearing set. And then there was multiple ex parte communications with Judge Peak's office. And we saw them. We were documenting them. We recorded some of them. The Texas Attorney General was in one of them, and sh I asked how come she didn't tell me. She works for the top law enforcement agency in the state of Texas, and now you're doing some ex parte communicating? Uh. That's online. So I'm exposing all of these things in court, right? And how am I supposed to get a fair judgment if I got all of this shit working in the background? Oh, well, just shut up, George, and you'll get to see your kid. You can go to supervised visits. And it's like, I'm telling Harris County, look, we see you. We see the dirty shit you guys are doing. And now you're retaliating against me? You want me to go to supervised visitations? My ex's attorney, he flat out said it. It's on YouTube. Harris County courts are corrupt. A lot of corruption up there. And I've been screaming it to the world. He was on the other side and he said there was corruption. And he did corruptive things. And we got it on where he's on mute and he's coaching the client what to say. We brought it up to Judge Peak. And guess what? Nah. Nah. No. No. Can't report it, George. Well, shit, what can I report? Does somebody have a list of what the things George can report? Because you're telling him to do all of these things. Show up on these dates. He shows up because the police. The police don't want to do anything. Then they don't want to give him the documentation. So how in the hell, what do you want me to do? That's the fight I'm in. It's all written. What do you do if somebody violates you? Call the police. I mean, I could talk about this all night long. Every day, all day. We're finding ways to break this system down. I just wanted to put this recording out because I don't know. Tomorrow I'm going to court where they said that I assaulted this sheriff's officer. The video's online. And again, he works for the county, didn't obey his policies and procedures. I called his bullshit out on it, call his supervisor, and he turns around and he arrests me for assault. Like, you just broke you broke the Constitution, then you broke the laws, and then you broke your own policy. And then you were the aggressor. You didn't even try to de-escalate. And I'm in a public forum. And then they lie on an affidavit. Get me arrested for assault with bodily injury on a peace officer. A felony. That's how deep I am. That's how deep I am. I've asked the Rangers. I've asked everybody to investigate this. State senators, state reps, all of them. My own sheriff here in Bexar County. That's what I go through family court. And now I'm just going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it because it needs to be talked about. These people that are doing this are hurting people's emotional, mental well being. They're causing them a financial harm when they keep litigating in bad faith. They're hurting people, and ultimately, they're hurting the children they're supposed to be protecting. The family law industry is a very nasty industry. And they took Christopher from me. Georgie and Nadia, they damaged them. The state should be paying reparations because they know we're reporting this and they're not doing anything about it. And the research shows that they're hurting our kids. Their own research shows that. We're reporting it to the state through the SEJC, which doesn't have any oversight. The SEJC is supposed to oversee these judges. The judges are supposed to keep these attorneys in check, and nobody is overseeing this. The Supreme Court has failed to oversee the SEJC, just a bunch of quacks sitting in a high-rise building in Austin saying that they're investigating judges. The Zoom hearings, everybody's recording them. Transcript integrity. Because these judges and lawyers are definitely telling people shit that didn't happen. And then even, and in my case, even if you show them the video, people can believe it, but they don't know what to do. They're like, yeah, it happens. Welcome to our world. No, that's not acceptable. You're hurting people. Like attorneys know other attorneys lie, and attorneys always say, well, yeah, we know it happens, and yeah, it's just part of the job. Like, no, no, you're dealing with somebody's child. You're dealing with somebody's child, and there's absolutely no oversight. Absolutely no oversight. So what's next? You gonna make another law that they're not gonna enforce? Okay, yeah, let's go and legislate a whole bunch of laws that nobody's gonna enforce. Have all these laws on the books that should be enforced. We're telling them to follow the Constitution. The judges aren't following the Constitution. They ain't following the law. They ain't following their own rules. And then they're going to hold you to their courtroom policies, though. It's not an order, but I'm going to put a piece of paper with some printer ink on the front of that door that says no cell phones and turn them off. And I'm just going to violate your rights with that piece of paper on my door because it says that's my courtroom policy. Never mind the laws or your constitutional rights. Never mind that the public shall have access to their courts. Open courts, right? Open courts are to allow public access, right? People walk in the open court to get public access. Public access and open courts are not the same words. They're not the same terminology. They mean two different things. Open courts and public access. You have open courts so people can have public access. And they're telling, oh, the court's open, come over here. No, 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 no. When y'all started using taxpayers' dollars to use Zoom, now you've made it for the public can have access to your courtroom through that Zoom. Oh, the Supreme Court needs somebody to take it all the way to the Supreme Court before they can decide whether that's a valid argument or not. I mean, I'm over here litigating for my child, much less want to take this right to the Supreme Court so we can have Zoom. We have the Zoom technology. You guys are using it whenever you guys want, and now you're telling the public they can't observe you using their own Zoom that they're paying for. Like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. This is a little funny. You're going to use my tax dollars to buy everybody, all the judges in Harris County, Texas, whatever, a Zoom account. And us, Johnny Taxpayer, can't use it to look in and see what my judge is doing, making sure she's staying after 2 o'clock, because she cleared her docket. We have cameras everywhere else. We have cameras in the criminal courts. We have cameras on police officers. Why can't we have cameras in family courts? Why? Why does the Supreme Court air on YouTube, but Harris County family courts are like, no, you can't record, you can't bring in any recording devices. They don't want you to hear it. They don't want you to hear it. I'm gonna go for a few more minutes and then I'm cutting out. I live this. I breathe this. It's you don't even it's not even about fighting with your ex anymore. We all know our exes are a piece of work, right? And we don't get along. But when you have the judiciary that's actually um, engaging, and conspiring, I'm sure people know the Saldana name in Harris County. But you're really, a lot of people think that I'm a menace and I'm an asshole and I'm this and I'm that. No, I'm not. Just follow your goddamn order, right? You gave me an order to see my son. What's so fucking hard about it? We live in 2024 right now, right? I know whether I showed up somewhere at 6 o'clock, whether it's GPS on a picture I took or GPS with my phone, or whether it's ping triangulation. It's not that hard to know whether, George, you ordered me to go pick up my son on these days. And I show up and I call the police. Like, we see what these judges are doing. We see that they're creating, there's really only two things you really fight about in family court. Really just two things. Most of the time in family court, people fight about possession and access and child support. Yes, you have house and you have other things, but usually it's possession and access and child support. You have the other little things like therapy and stuff like that, but as long, it's not that hard. Did he show up or not? Did she show up or not? Yes or no? We all know the statistics shows that that these children do better with two parents involved. But you can't even get them to enforce what the court order says, what the law says, what their rules say. And that's the frustration that I got. A lot of people think I'm the asshole, and they're the ones that don't even know. Y'all are hurting Christopher. Y'all are hurting other kids. Right? I need to have a fair shot at doing justice business correctly before I can even get into the merits of my case. If I already know that, if I already know that the judicial system isn't working the way it's supposed to be, then how in the hell am I gonna get a fair trial? How am I gonna be treated a certain way? Again, we all preach equality, but again, there's discrimination, a sexist discrimination, where we discriminate against men, all for a financial incentive from the federal government. Whether it's VAWA and protective orders or it's child support, the state is going to make its money. Why are we as humans working for the state? You're hurting real people. These judges went out and pandered votes, asking for people to vote for them just to turn around and fuck the same people in their community. vote for me this and vote for me that and family first this and family first that and I'm going to be your next judge and I'm going to bring families together, and you're still pouring back into the protective order system, still back into supervised visitation, still removing fathers from the household. You're part of the problem. Harris County is the third largest county. They should be setting the example of how things should be done. I've had 3 judges in Harris County. Yes, maybe they're incompetent. Maybe they are dumb. You know what they say is that sometimes they put these attorneys in places, to work them, to work certain things. Maybe they are dumb. I don't know. But that's not an excuse. You have a bar license. You took the bar. You have Google. You have Westlaw. You have an iPad. Probably have a county phone. You have email, internet service. We all give it to you. You go to conventions and you still can't figure out what's the right thing to do, what the research proves, and what children having parents involved does for them. You're part of the problem. These judges are part of the problem. But it's not their kids. If this was their kids, would they change their mind? Absolutely, they would. That's my rant for this evening. We'll do this again. We'll do this again.